Hi there guys, it's Adam Martin here, and welcome back to another video, and this time we are reviewing the 2023 Doctor Who Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road. Now this episode was highly anticipated, not the least that it marked Doctor Who's return to Christmas Day after 6 years, and it also marked the first full episode with NCUTI GATWA as the 15th Doctor, and the introduction of MILLIE GIBSON as new companion Ruby Sunday. So, as always with any new Doctor, new companion, new era, there's a lot of excitement. People have their thoughts about how it's going to be, what it's going to look like, how it's going to sound like, the whole package, if you will. And how did this one stand up? You're going to have to wait to find out. But before we do, please leave a like on this video and do hit that subscribe button as well. We would love to have you aboard here with us. So first of all, I just want to touch upon the new Doctor himself, NCUTI GATWA. My goodness, I was already impressed with like the 20 minutes that we saw of him in The Giggle, the last episode with David Tennant. But, oh my god, he is just the Doctor, isn't he? It's very rare that like I'm taken by an actor's portrayal so quickly. I've only ever had that a few times. I had that with Christopher Eccleston, I had that with Peter Capaldi, and I think I've had it with NCUTI GATWA. Just from the word go, his Doctor is brimming with energy, with life, with confidence, and it still feels very Doctor-y. It's a very modern take on like the Doctor as a part, but I think in the year 2023 that's absolutely valid. You know, why not have a Doctor who can be so much more relatable to newer audiences as well as older audiences? The fact we see him, you know, like out clubbing, having a great time, I found that really cathartic because, you know, this character, this ancient character has been steeped in so much like, you know, trauma and hurt and pain. It's so good to see them actually just let loose and have a great time, sort of revel in that euphoria that dancing in a club to a banging song can give you. So that was really positive in my book. Also just, I mean, everything, the fit, the different outfits he has. He's already rocked several different outfits in his debut episode. I mean, we already know there's going to be several more to come. And I kind of like that idea. I know there's some people out there who prefer the Doctor to have like a traditional costume, as it were. So say, take the Fifth Doctor, for example. Most of his stories, he wore that, you know, that cricket jacket and trousers with the celery and all that. And I'm not against a traditional costume, but I think it's nice to vary it up and to have a Doctor with several different outfits. You know, this is going to give artists and cosplayers a wealth of material to expunge into, but I just think it's nice variety, and NCUTI pulls them off remarkably. Isn't he just a beautiful human being? But one scene in particular I wanted to touch on, and this really cemented it for me, was the scene in the streets with the policeman. Now apparently this was a late addition. I believe RTD Russell has said that this was a late addition at the request of Disney, who of course are providing money for this new series of Doctor Who, and they wanted to see the Doctor a bit earlier on in the story. So this scene was shot only a couple of months ago, I believe, and it shows that, you know, after the snowman hits the Doctor, that the policeman questions him, and NCUTI's delivery, the response, like the way, the confidence, the swagger he has, and like telling the policeman that his girlfriend or his his girlfriend's gonna say yes to get engaged with him. That is just pure Doctoriness, if you ask me. It's hard to describe, but it just, that feels like how the Doctor is. Like, that is the Doctor as a character, and it's so great to see NCUTI embody that in his own unique way. And I know a lot of people have said that scene for them, that even though it was like a Disney request, they're glad it was there, because it really just showed how well NCUTI can play this part, and it only makes me more excited for what's to come in the future. A more emotional Doctor as well. I'll touch more about the emotional balance of the story a bit later, but it's nice to have a Doctor a bit more in tune with their emotions, a bit more willing to open up to them and let them flow. Really nice stuff. But as well as a new Doctor, we've got a new companion, which is Ruby Sunday, played by MILLIE GIBSON. Now, I loved Millie's energy that she's brought to this part. This feels like a character who's very fiery, very fresh. Again, very modern. A lot of the language Ruby uses, or a lot of the mannerisms, the way she goes about things, just feels very reminiscent of like a 2023 person of her like standing. I know there's been a lot of comparisons that, you know, she's around like 19, the same age Rose Tyler was when she was introduced. It's another Who blonde, and I know there's been some people out there saying they should have got a male companion for NCUTI, and that would have been equally interesting. It's not that I dislike what we do have, but I was a bit surprised that they didn't continue to like push that mold, sort of break the boundaries a little bit more. Maybe that'll come in the second series, but from what we see though, Ruby's and the Doctor's dynamic is so good. Considering they meet in this story, the like the chemistry they naturally have with each other it's just wonderful to watch. It's really joyous. It put a lot of smiles on my face, and again, it only makes me excited now to see as Ruby explores the universe in the TARDIS with the Doctor, how that relationship is going to develop, what sort of what chinks in the armor are going to appear along the way, perhaps. That's what I'm excited to see. And because, RTD in his first era was so reveled for incorporating, like, a family element, it's nice to see that has returned here, because with Ruby, we establish her mum and her gran as well. Obviously, these are, like, foster, these people who took her in, but it's so nice to see that the bond she has with them is essentially of a mother and gran, and I think speaks true. I've read multiple accounts of people who were, say, fostered at a young age or adopted, and they come to see their foster or adopted parents as their actual parents, and I think seeing Ruby's relationship with them again is really sweet. It feels really natural. Everyone bounces off each other greatly. Her mum, like the huge hearts she has in looking after all these kids over the years, 33 it is, and taking a newborn child on Christmas Eve, that's a tall order, but it's great to have characters like this and sets them up. I love Cherry Sunday, the grandma, just this no nonsense woman who more than anything just wants a cup of tea. That's all she wants. Will someone please get her a cup of tea? But no, really good stuff. Love that family dynamic. Hoping, and I'm pretty sure we are, but I'm hoping we get to see that more throughout the series. I know it's probably not going to be in every single episode, but sort of like, what happened with Rose and her family back in the day, just to sort of dip in every now and again, check in with them, see what's what, how everything's going. And I know earlier I touched on emotion, and I think the mixture of like emotional stuff and then like frivolity and fun was so well done, because let's face it, when it's a Christmas episode of Doctor Who, 9 times out of 10 they're not going to be these huge things that have like a massive impact on the overall Doctor Who story, if you will. They're often very light-hearted, more fun, more frivolous events. I think we particularly saw that in, well, Russell's and Stephen's era when Christmas specials were a thing. Like, there was some darker ones, like, you had Last Christmas. I remember that being a particularly darker story, but 9 times out of 10 they're often a bit more light-hearted, a bit more fun, and this is exactly what the church on Ruby Road felt like to me. You had such frivolous elements, like all to do with the goblins and stuff, which also communicated a threat, but in a more, like, I'd argue, light-hearted manner, mixed with the emotion, mixed with Ruby and her origins. Like, how devastating was it when Davina McCall rings her up to say, oh, we haven't found any trace of your parents and all that sort of stuff. Like, that's a hard thing to hear, and Millie Gibson plays that beautifully, like that tragedy. And when the timelines are altered, when Ruby sort of no longer exists in her mum's life, and seeing how sort of bitter she became in this alternative timeline, and again, how that impacts the Doctor, the fact that the Doctor starts crying at this, but I really like that this new incarnation is, again, more in tune with their emotions, willing to open up a bit more to these situations, and really nice balance. And I mean, RTD always did a good job on Christmas at balancing the emotion with the frivolity, and it's nice to see that they seemingly still have that talent there, so well done. It does make you wonder about the mystery of Ruby's origins, doesn't it? Because we see that she is left, obviously, at this church on Christmas Eve by a mysterious cloaked figure. Now, there's been several rumours as to who this might be. One early one I saw was people thought it might be the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker. And I think that was going off, was it the boots that they're wearing or something like that? I'd be very surprised if it was the 13th Doctor, but, never say never till it's revealed. I've heard some people say that it could be Mrs. Flood, who's a character we'll talk about in just a little bit, but some have speculated that it might be her. Some have speculated that it could be like a rival Time Lord, that this is some sort of trap, a la think the Master or Missy or, all of those, the Rani, or everyone wants the Rani, don't they? We'll touch on the Rani in a little bit, actually. I've also seen a theory that some people think this could be a future version of Ruby, one that after, say, traveling with the Doctor, has to make this timeline work. Who knows? But the mystery is certainly very intriguing. I definitely know we're going to return to it. I think that's a given. We're going to return to it in the future. So I'm looking forward to see where that particular plot line leads. But of course, we have to talk about the Goblins. Oh my goodness. Well, the Goblin song dropped about 2 weeks before transmission. And, it's a bop. It's a banger. We can all bop along to it. But the whole, world of the Goblins and, the vocabulary of rope, as the Doctor suggests, really intricately designed set, really like that, really like the designs. It might have just been my eyes. The CGI on the Goblins didn't look phenomenal, but by the same token, there was a ton of different varied Goblins. It's a lot of work regardless to make anything computer generated, so, and, even though, Disney are helping, I'm not expecting, I don't know, Avatar-style CGI. But they were fun creatures. I wish we got a little bit more of them, like a little bit more individual personalities. Like we have Janice Goblin, who's like the main singer, who is referred to as Janice as well by the Doctor. But I know they're not the main focus, but it maybe would have been nice to have a bit more personalities of them. The Goblin King was an absolute riot, very like Jabba the Hutt-esque. It was fun. This is the example of the frivolity I'm talking about. It was very light-hearted, very fun, very good-natured. Like, that's what I like about Doctor Who Christmas specials most of the time. And a surprise, because after the Goblin song as we heard it ends, the Doctor and Ruby start singing. This was a delicious surprise because Ncuti and Millie can both really sing. They sounded really, really good. And for them to carry on that song, the bop that it is, was just a great... I'm amazed it's taken 60 years for something like this to happen. But yeah, really chuffed with that. Hopefully more musical episodes in the future. Russell, creative team, please. I'd really enjoy that. But like I said, just who is Mrs. Flood? So this is played by Anita Dobson, an actor who's been around for ages now. And the thing with her is, she just appears like a cantankerous neighbour at first, but it's mainly at the end when she witnesses the TARDIS. Now, she, wishes Ruby good luck, and she watches the TARDIS disappear with a smile on her face, much to another neighbour, Abdul, his shock. And she says, basically get over it, and then looks directly to camera and says, have you never seen a TARDIS before? Or something to that effect. Now, this has got the fandom talking like crazy. There are several, this could merely be a joke, like a literal to-the-camera joke that has no bearing on the future whatsoever. I don't know if we've had confirmation that Mrs. Flood is a returning character. I'd like to think she is, considering we're going to probably return to Ruby's home and she's their neighbour. I've heard some theories say that she's the Rani, because whenever any female character emerges in Doctor Who seems a bit mysterious, it's obviously the Rani. And part of me wants it to be the Rani just so we can lay that to bed. But yeah, there are the theories that, okay, she knows what a TARDIS is. Could she be a fellow Time Lord? Or I've seen some people say that she is one of the Doctor's former companions who is now living under this new alias of Mrs. Flood. And she's, I guess, acting as like a guardian to Ruby or something like that. There's a whole plethora of things. And I'm leaning more towards, I'm hoping it does lead to something. I'd be absolutely fine if it was just this joke to camera, just to, pastiche on Christmas Day. Very much like William Hartnell did back in 1965. But the more I do think about it, I do think my gut is saying this might lean to something throughout the new series. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you think about Mrs. Flood, though, in the comments. And after it all ends, we get a lovely, as ever, the companion discovering the TARDIS, the excitement, the Doctor standing proud with a whole plethora of adventures awaiting them. We got a little season trailer, which showed us a lot of the things that I think have been taken, like set photos and leaks and stuff, those giant slug creatures, or stuff that's been officially released. The fact we're going to get like a Regency-style episode. The fact we're getting an episode with the Beatles, the Doctor and Ruby in their 60s garb, meeting the Beatles at Abbey Road. That looks like it's going to be a great time. So lots to be excited for in this new series. A lot of, as usual with Doctor Who, a lot of drama, a lot of monsters, a lot of emotion, lots of great stuff. And if Millie and Ncuti continue to deliver like they have in this one, then this is going to be a great set of adventures. Interestingly, it seems we are going with the renumbering, because on YouTube, if you look at this trailer, it says Doctor Who Season 1, which implies that we are going for like this reboot style. I guess this is partly, it's going to be shown in Disney Plus throughout the rest of the world, starting from the Tennant specials into this. So part of me thinks that they've requested this, to literally be a jumping on point. And I'd argue that Church on Ruby Road could be a jumping on point. There's not even a callback to David Tennant's 14th Doctor that we've just had. It very much starts with Ncuti. There's a few references here and there, including a little Timeless Child reference, but nothing I'd think that, casual audiences couldn't jump on should they start at this episode. I know this is going to make some fans upset. Some people wanted it to be Series 14. Some even wanted it to be season 40 now. I mean, I'm all right with the numbering. I think if you prefer an alternative route, you can do that yourself. But, that doesn't mean you have to badger people to adopt the same formula as you. Everyone's going to have their own different interpretation. But yeah, interesting that they're going through with it. So we actually got revealed as well that it's coming in May of 2024, so only 5 months to wait. Really excited for that, around Eurovision time as well. So that's gonna be a great month of May. But overall, my thoughts on the Church of Ruby Road: Really solid stuff. It's, again, that mixture of fun and emotion, brilliant performances from all involved, particularly Ncuti and Millie, the absolute madness of the goblins and the goblins song, but it works so well with what the story was going for. My only slight criticism, and a few others have shared this as well, that it felt a little too short. I think it ran to about 55 minutes, and I know the Christmas specials are normally an hour, but maybe even those extra 5 minutes could have really either elongating some scenes out, having a bit more development on some scenes. I understand that, like, a lot of younger audiences now, they want their TV to be fast and snappy, and I understand trying to cater for them, but also a little bit more time wouldn't have gone amiss. But on the whole, a really great start to NCUTI GATWA's era as the Doctor. I'm really hyped to see what Season 1 brings in May of 2024. But I want to know what you think. What did you think about the church on Ruby Road? Let me know down in the comments below. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Let me know your reasons why. As always, let's just keep it civil. We can agree to disagree. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. We would love to have you aboard. In the meantime, I've been Adam Martin from AMTV. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.